notice any commonalities with like people who were just lonely?
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that
Because what I've noticed, I just interviewed this guy who did a documentary about QAnon.
Okay, who's the guy?
Cullen Hoback.
Oh yeah.
And from what he gathered, or what I gathered, we talked about it from like the people that are like balls deep into this deep state satanic pedophile ring.
Yeah.
Is that it's just people that just lack a sense of community.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that, I would say that is a big part of it. And it's also where I think a lot more of the like hateful conspiracies come into play, because if you take David as an example from my doc,
David Dees? Or
David Dees.
Okay. Dees nuts.
Yeah, Dees nuts. He had no IRL interactions. He was basically a hermit. He'd maybe go to the grocery store once every 2 weeks or something, and he had one friend in town who was also a conspiracy theorist. And so all of his interactions were just like online on Facebook and in YouTube comments. Mm-hmm. And as you know, it's a lot easier to start to marginalize people, to think people are idiots, and to be mean when it's only online. And your world gets really small. Even though the internet is big, your world gets smaller and smaller and smaller because you're only interacting
with the screen,
like, and just your group, your like ever shrinking group. And so when people like me and my cameraman went out there to meet him, it sort of like blows his world open. He's like, because I'm Jewish, and he's just like, oh, you're a nice Jewish person, like you're not trying to control me. And
yeah, he had a lot of anti-Semitic imagery in his artwork, right?
He did, yeah.
And why was that?
So he would just say he's not anti-Semitic, he's like anti-Zionist, which he didn't even know what Zionism was. But I think he's just influenced by everything that comes before him, and behind every conspiracy theory online, it's like pretty much the Jews once you keep.
Is it?
It's for most of them, yeah. Even if it's not like expressly stated, it goes back to the whole like that Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is this like famous forgery from Europe in like the 1900s or 1800s, maybe it even goes before that. That was this fake document that was basically written as if it were the Jews that they want to control the world, and so it was taken as being real.
Wasn't there also something, the whole like Satanist baby eaters started back then too?
It did, blood libel, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and so I think that stuff, and that was always just because the Jews were the other, they were the other in Europe, the marginalized group that would never assimilate and had strange rituals, and they were from a far off place, and they looked a little different, but they looked just, the same enough that they could, sneak into our society, and so that's where it seemed to start. And never have been able to shake that, especially in the conspiracy world. But meeting David and him meeting us, it was just like, oh wow, nice normal guys are in my life now, and I can talk about things that aren't conspiracies. And he just sort of like lit up and wanted to talk about his bunnies and his cats and art and not talk about conspiracies. And yeah, he seemed like a completely different person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How long does it take you to do something like that? That documentary you did on him, that was like a 15-minute short.
Yeah, so that was another like self-funded thing. So it's like you just go there and you try and shoot as much as you can. And so we only really had a couple days to shoot with him. We wanted to go back, but he died while I was editing.
My God.
Yeah, and he didn't hint that he was sick. So I had no idea. If I had known, why I would have like shown him stuff and tried to go out and film with him again. So the editing part took like a year just because like I didn't know what to do with it.
How did you find out that he died?
I just saw his obituary online. Yeah, I was just searching him to get some like image reference of his work, and then it showed up in the obituary. And he had died 2 months after we filmed with him. And he alluded to like very offhand that he might have had some cancer, but that he cured it by drinking baking soda. As you had read on YouTube or watched a YouTube video, it was like you can cure your cancer if you make your body alkaline enough. And so he never went to the doctor.
And he also had like an e-meter, like a Scientology machine.
Yeah, it looks just like one, but it's different. It's called the Rife machine, and it basically works on the principle that every like virus and bacteria and parasite operates on a certain frequency, and if you like tune another frequency into that frequency, then it kills it all in your body if you hold on to these tubes. And so, and I mean, he got hoodwinked into buying.
Oh, this is it.
They're thousands of dollars.
Really?
And the person who sold it to him hoodwinked him into buying like 10 of them so that he could resell them, which he was never able to sell any. And David was poor, so he just went into debt. It's super sad.
Are these things, what are they used for? Are they?
Nothing.
They're just bullshit machines?
I mean, I would say so. Maybe I'm wrong.
Rife's world.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like there's anything to it. And in it, he's using it, and he's like, and I don't even feel a thing. Yeah.
Where do you think he learned about something like? Is this something like he found on YouTube or like Reddit?
Likely, yeah. He didn't really go on Reddit except to look at his own. There was a subreddit about him called D's Nuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you showing that.
So he would go on that subreddit. So basically, it was really popular. It was like now there's like 15,000 people in the subreddit, and
wow,
they would just post his art and make fun of it, you know, but it was super active. Like there'd be like 30, 50 comments on these paintings, and he would go on to read them because it was the only place he could see people like talking about his work. And so even though they were calling him like schizophrenic and crazy on there, he still like got a kick out of it, and he would make like burner accounts on Reddit and like argue with the people.
What was you asked him about like marriage or relationships. Yeah. He said he got poisoned by something.
Yeah, so he had never apparently had a steady relationship or in his adult life, and his reason was that he had been doing airbrushing as his job. He would do like big billboards and movie posters and stuff, which was a lot of it was done through airbrushing then, and he never wore a mask. And it's super it's like heavy metals, aerosolized that you're breathing in that go, that gets into your brain tissue. And cadmium was the major one.
Cadmium,
that's
what it was.
And so when he told me that, he said I got poisoned and like I had neurological damage from the cadmium, and he was sick for like years from that and never really fully recovered. And that was like the prime of his life, and it fucked him up enough that his career never recovered, and he never was able to, have lasting relations. It didn't like make total sense, but I started looking up cadmium poisoning and the effect on the brain, and there was a lot of links to schizophrenia, of it causing schizophrenic like symptoms. And when he got poisoned, that was also around the same time that he fell into these conspiracies and getting really deep into them. Oh, wow. And before that, it didn't seem like he was like, no, I never even had any. I never thought about conspiracies or any of this stuff. Like he was into UFOs and that sort of thing, but it seemed to coincide. And so maybe, I drew like a thin link to maybe this neurological damage thrust him into like the deep world of conspiracies. Right. But, I shouldn't even be making that link because I'm not have any kind of qualifications to do that, but it's like, it's what I saw.
Now,